Do you love freedom? Do you love being clean? Then you'll love Hero Soap Company, made in the USA. Chemical and fragrance free. A portion of each purchase donated to veteran and first responder charities. Initial subscription purchase is matched bar for bar and sent overseas to deploy troops. Let freedom clean. Hero Soap Company.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guests are April Michalski and Kristina Rubin. Before I bring them on, just a couple of announcements. You can always get new episodes free on Rokfin, Odysee, and all podcast platforms. And check us out on Rokfin. That's where you get our premium content. And you get all the amazing content from every creator that's on Rokfin. Check out all the podcasts that we're featuring on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. You get those on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, and follow us on Facebook. Those links are all in the description. Today I want to welcome back to the show April Michalski and Kristina Rubin. April is a writer, intuitive, and future host of the Ancient Gift podcast, which will be on the Forbidden Knowledge Network soon, and her daughter Kristina Rubin, who also has intuitive abilities. They are here today to talk about the paranormal and extraordinary occurrences they've experienced together. April and Kristina, welcome. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having us, Chris.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, April, it's great to have you back on, and it's great to meet you, Kristina. Your mom has told me incredible accounts throughout your lives of paranormal, psychic, intuitive abilities, remote viewing, and even channeling. So this is going to be a fun, interesting discussion. So, April, where do you want to start with this? Where did these experiences start for you, really?
Well, Kristina knows all about me. Obviously, she's my daughter. So this is kind of like my coming out, so to speak, in a little bit, because I really have never publicly came out and said, hey, like I can see dead people and talk to them. And I'm saying that now. So among other gifts. So yeah, it started when I was really little. I had a very difficult childhood, and I believe that it was probably my saving grace as a child, my gifts. You and I have discussed this before. I think in the first time we interviewed that I just had a sense of like what not to do and what to do, especially as like a teenager. And I was like, I did all the naughty stuff that teenagers do, but unlike other people, I never got really caught, so and then there were other circumstances where I listened to my intuition and it literally saved my life. So it's just something that's been with me my entire life. And I find that when I relax and open up and just kind of let it flow through me, that I have a much stronger ability, and it's a lot more accurate. It's, I think, like anything, like if you're a professional athlete and you practice and practice, the more you practice, the better you get. It's kind of the same thing. You have to be open to it and then be able to let that information flow through you, because it doesn't come from me. I'm just kind of grabbing it from source, right? So that's how that works. But I really didn't know about the remote viewing until like the 90s, and I've only done it a few times. And one was for a lost dog, which you and I've talked about before, for my sister. And then my daughter called me a few years ago when she was living in Oregon, and one of her friends went missing, and she was very concerned about her. And I'm going to let Kristina tell the story. So.
Now, Kristina, you also have had some intuitive abilities apparently passed on from your mother, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's from her since she's the one who is gifted. Yeah, I have experienced some really interesting things myself. Haven't lately, recently, but in the past, I definitely have. I think it's like my mom said, it's something that you have to like use and practice. And I just haven't. So it's kind of been on a pause.
Now, what could you tell us a little bit about what your mom was saying about her remote viewing experience where she helped find your friend?
Yeah, so I had a friend. I was living in Portland, Oregon, and we went out one night and we went clubbing, and she had gotten kicked out. So I went to go get her, and she was gone, and she was missing all night into the morning. And I had called my mom because I know that, you know, she has abilities, and she had told me that she saw a body of water, I believe a brick building, and a chain link fence. And she was saying that she was somewhere around there. I'm sorry, I just had a call in on my phone. And she was somewhere around there. It was the second day, and I'm sorry, she didn't show up. And so I took off work and I went to go searching for her. And I went where I like just all around Portland. And I finally stopped at this one place. I was getting pretty.
Can I interrupt her just for a second? Just
Yeah, sure.
remember, it was the industrial section of town, and then there was the truck with the blue tarp. That's all. I just want to make sure because there was details in it. Okay.
Yeah. No, you saw everything. Where I had gotten discouraged and took a break because I was frantically like looking everywhere. That's when I started to notice what my mom was saying. Like it wasn't like, it's hard to describe because at this point I was so overwhelmed and I just thought there was no use, and I kind of just pulled over randomly and it was all there, everything. And this person walked up to me. He was homeless. And I had a feeling to ask for her. And so I did. And turns out she was exactly where like my mom had described. I got her and took her in. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty.
And she was okay? Everything was okay when you found her?
She was, I mean, she wasn't okay. I think if I would have waited longer, she probably would have been.
I said you had less than 24 hours to 48 hours to find her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, she is an addict. So she was pretty bad.
So what I saw when Kristina asked me was, so I often when I have clients or I talk to people, I say, close your eyes and I want you to envision this. And I saw this like white, dilapidated like brick building, but with some brick showing, and like windows, like the kind that go out like that, the old ones, you know, like industrial section. And then at the end of this building was this chain link fence that kind of went out, and there was this like old like field, and then there was a river right there. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, there's a river in Portland.
Yeah, but I don't honestly. I hate to say this, my geography of Portland, Oregon is not great, but so I didn't know any of this, right? So I described this, and then I said I saw a street sign like on like there, and then it was like this old truck, and over like the cab, the back of the truck was like and that came off the truck was like a blue tarp. It was kind of like a makeshift kind of home.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Then I saw her kind of coming into consciousness and kind of going, you know, flowing in and flowing out of consciousness. I thought in my vision originally that she was a much worse off, because I honestly, by that time, didn't even know, like I didn't have a good feeling that she was even going to make it, but I was wrong. And thank God I was. But so go ahead. I'm sorry, Kristina. I just want to make sure.
For the first 2 nights she went missing, she was in homeless tents doing drugs. So by the time I had found her, she was really, really deep into a session, I guess, or she was on a substance, and she was her, but she was not her. She said thank you, but she she wasn't there completely. She was like a different person. So yeah,
That's why they call them spirits, because when you lower your defense mechanisms that you naturally have with your guides and, your guardians around you, you let other entities, available to come in. So
what's so interesting is she's such a good artist, and I felt like she would draw her spirits or her demons, very intense drawings. Yeah. But yeah, so you found her, you helped me find her. So
that was pretty intense. I mean, it's one thing looking for a missing dog. It's another thing looking for a human life, especially somebody that you know. Yeah.
Well, let's take it to a little lighter note. Let's talk about the missing dog for a second. How did that happen?
Well, I told you this the first time we interviewed, but I'll do it really quick. My sister called. They just moved from New Jersey to Alabama. They had a dog that got out. They had 3 dogs at the time. I want to say it was the dog Pooh Bear, but I'm not sure which. To be honest with you, it was like almost 26 years ago. It was quite a while ago. And so she said, what do you see? And I just said, look, you're not going to find it. This is before cell phones and social media and all that stuff. So this is like putting flyers on telephone poles and knocking on door kind of, search. So I told her to go down a dirt road and then have her son get on his bike. My nephew, who's Cory, who's now older, to have Cory go down to the bike, make a right at the first dirt road and go all the way down to the end. And then when he looks off, I believe I said to the left, he'll see like a dilapidated barn and an old tractor, kind of like your stereotypical, like picturesque, dilapidated farm from in the South, that's 100 years old. And it's so cool, right? Because it's so like authentic, but yet things are falling apart basically. So, and I'd say there would be an older Black couple on the porch, and he was going to have white hair and really, really blue eyes because he had cataracts, and I could see his eyes were like sky blue, like just, and then the woman was in a rocking chair, and then the dog would be underneath the tractor. And when they found the dog would come out, but it would be underneath the tractor, but the elderly couple were taking care of him. And sure enough, it was a green John Deere that was rusted out, and it was a red barn that was falling apart, and the dog was under the tractor, and the couple was on the porch, and yeah, they got the dog back.
Oh, so that's great. Now, let's talk about some paranormal experiences. You've had some also, I guess, encounters with spirits along the way, right?
You could say that. Yeah.
What are some of the most profound that stick out for you?
Well, so I don't know how other people do readings or how other people do things, but it's kind of like I tease people. I say, I have 5 children, and my brain and soul only have so much room, bytes to store information. So I typically don't store things that happen when I do a reading. Like it's like I do a reading and then bam, it's gone. And that's with the person that I've read, right? It's just something I don't hold on to. Lots of reasons, but typically it's just because I don't have enough room in my brain to hold all of it. So Kristina was in high school, and she had a really good friend, and who's a very dear friend and very dear part of our family still all these years later. But, they were mischievous a little bit in high school. They were doing high school girl stuff, and I knew it, and I liked the girl. I just didn't like what the girl was doing. And so I kind of had a problem with Kristina hanging out with her. And she came over one day, and I asked Kristina about this the other day, because it's like, that time, because I got it confused with another time I did readings for because I have 4 daughters, and it would always be like a kind of like, hey mom, can you do tarot reading for the slumber party, kind of thing for the birthday party. So that was that kind of deal. And I swear to you, there's nothing like 5 13-year-olds, crying their eyes out because I'm bringing up all these issues with their mother, and, and they're all crying, or their boyfriend broke up with them and they're all crying. I'm like, God, I hate doing this because I always make people cry. But anyway, so I guess I was walking by the room and the girls were in there, and I'm going to say
we're not 13.
No, you were like 16, 17-ish, right?
She was about 18 at that point. Mm-hmm.
And you were 16. You're 2 years younger than her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I stopped and I said, hey, do you have a grandmother who's passed on? Because she's here right now. And then I'm going to let Kristina take it, because she tells it so much, because I don't remember any of this. To be honest with you, this is all what Kristina told me. So Kristina, you have the floor.
Okay. So, yeah, my friend and I were talking, and she was upset because she was going through issues with her boyfriend at the time, who was slightly abusive. And my mom walks in, and she kind of like looks in, and she's like, "Hey, do you have a grandmother who passed?" And she's like, "Yeah, why?" And then she's like, "'Cause she's here right now." And then my mom just like snaps out of being my mom. And my friend, she's Muslim and Arabic, and obviously her grandmother is, and her grandmother started she came into my mom started speaking Arabic, and my mom's never spoke that before. She called my friend by her childhood nickname. She recited childhood memories, and she even her demeanor, her just the way she spoke with her hands, everything changed. And my friend she was so taken aback. She was like crying, sobbing at that point, because she was kind of scared, I think. And honestly, I was too. I could not lift my jaw off the ground. I just was at one point, I remember saying, "Mom, stop." But her grandmother went through my mom and basically changed my friend's life, and my mom changed my friend's life. Because she had said, you need to do A, B, and C, get away from this, change your life pretty much. And it was pretty incredible.
You said that my eyes turned you thought they turned
your
brown.
Eye color,
my facial.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Everything changed about you. Your eye color turned dark. You spoke with you were speaking Arabic. It just was. It was.
I remember them shaking me. Mom, stop, Mom, stop! You're scaring us. I remember that.
I didn't shake you. I mean, it probably felt like you were being shook, because I was saying, "Mom, stop! You're freaking out my friend." And at this time, I'm the new girl, and there's this older girl who wanted to hang out with me. We're getting into trouble and doing fun things together, and you're scaring my friends away, but also terrifying me. It was funny because you had said earlier that you could get away with things, but growing up in your household, I could not get away with anything because you knew everything. It was the most annoying thing, but
you said it changed this girl's life. She kind of changed her path and turned everything around after this.
She broke up with the abusive boyfriend. She stopped doing drinking. She quit doing. I don't think it was in hard drugs, but playing around, playing around.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she was.
But she stopped all that. Now she's kicking butt in the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, she will even say that changed her whole entire life. Honestly, I know my mom and her capabilities, but I always kind of thought nah, you're just you're being a little dramatic. But when I saw that, my whole respect for her, and for that just changed. I just could not believe it. There's only that, and of course, finding my friend in Portland, but seeing that happen was probably one of the most insane experiences of my life. I literally could not close my mouth because I was in shock. Just, I can't even describe it. It was.
By the way, I don't speak Arabic. I don't know a single word.
No, she doesn't know. She doesn't know any of that.
No Arabic.
I remember when you kind of snapped out of it, you were like, what happened? And I was like, no. What happened? You don't ask what happened. We're going to ask you what happened. And Luna was just crying.
Oh, she was just besides herself, sobbing. The thing that really got me out of everything that they just told me is not just that I spoke Arabic, but that I called her pet name that her grandmother only called her. And only known to her and maybe her mom. Very few people in the world knew this. I had no idea.
And you knew her childhood memories. How do you know that? Like, and you were not close with her because you and I had said at the time, you did not approve me hanging out with her.
But I liked her as a person. I just didn't approve of her behavior. I'm a mom.
But I was young and we were starting to party together. So of course you're a protected mom.
Now, April, you don't remember saying any of this. You just snapped out of it. And what's the next thing you remember?
I remember going into the room and saying, hey, I remember feeling this overwhelming presence of this older woman, olive skin. And she was like behind her friend doing this, like, it's hard because I don't see it. Like, I didn't see this. I feel it. And when spirit comes around me, I get goosebumps that start like around my neck, my spine, and then they go all the way down. And usually it's like my left hand side of my body. And I said, well, she's here now. And I walked into the room and bam, it happened. And so I don't remember anything that I said at all. I don't remember anything. And then I thought they kind of were shaking me a little bit, saying, Mom, wake up, you're scared. I remember Kristina saying, you're scaring Luna, Luna, stop. And Luna was just bawling. Sorry, didn't mean
I wasn't going to say her name, but
I'm sorry. Well, there's 1,000 million units out there. But anyway, so it was quite the experience. Other than that, I don't recall anything.
Wow. Now, besides those experiences that we've discussed, is there anything that else that sticks out in your head from either your childhood experiences, Kristina, or for you, April, any profound maybe encounters or experiences or intuitive abilities that have come up?
Well, I always seem to pick haunted houses. Or they
yes, you do.
Look at her, look at her. Or they pick me. Every house I've had since I've been in my 20s or lived in, rented or owned have been occupied by other people.
Yes, I can personally attest to this because the house we're in is freaking me out at night. I've never quite experienced anything like this.
But you are the one that picked the house out. I just want to remind you.
Hey, it was a cool house. But since we've been here, we've experienced some strange things, haven't we? Mm-hmm. We've had closing and opening doors, footsteps.
Kristina,
I woke up. Of the bed.
I woke up at 3:33 a.m. this morning to footsteps overhead, and I reach over and go, "Hey, do you hear that?" He goes, "Shh, not now."
I'm so sorry.
No, but he picked this house out, so he can't say anything to me. This one is not on me.
I mean, don't you know how old it is when you rent a house?
I know, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. The house is built in the 1890s, so.
Yes, and it's
at this point, maybe I'm just jaded because I've grown up with you my whole life, Mom. But like every old house, I'm like, all right, so.
Oh my God, Rowley.
The Rowley house.
Woo! That one, Rowley, Massachusetts, and that was built in 1600. And
it was like 1662. We have the family plaque on our fireplace still.
Wow. It had the original stove that was built out of river stone. Now, when I say
beautiful,
when I say this fireplace, I don't mean like that behind me.
No,
I mean stones that are like this big, and it's like 5 feet back, and then they have like bars that come in where they used to literally hang like their pots, cauldrons to cook.
Yeah,
it's a few miles from Salem, Massachusetts. I'm just gonna say that it was built in 1600 or 1662, and it was moved to the spot in I think it was the 17 or 1800s, they said. And it literally had the diamond shaped lead windows that were all stained glass throughout the whole house. It had the wide pine like shiplap floors. I mean, it's just beautiful house, like just crazy, but so haunted. I know what I've experienced. Tell us what you experienced in it.
Okay, so at the time we had our family dog, Brody, and I just had gotten home from school. No one was home. I was kind of like calling around to see if one was home. And I walked into the kitchen and there was 3 measuring cups on the kitchen counter, and Brody was kind of like acting weird. His like hair on his back was going up, and he's not an aggressive dog or anything like that. He just, I think, felt something. And I remember looking at these measuring cups and one of them just flies off. And I'm like, no, I didn't just see that. I did not just see that. And I was like, and I just kind of ignored it, because at that point, like, I've been told that if you say, I don't want to see spirits, or if you like, you straight up say, I don't want anything to do with this, like, they won't come to you. And then another one flew off. So at that point, I ran outside and I just like contacted my like sister, and just didn't go back into the house until someone else came in, because I don't like that. I am not, it's happened to me, but when it does, I freak out when I run outside, because I just feel safer outside. And it's not even that it's a negative energy. It's just something that surprises me every time it does happen, because it has happened in different places where I've been. So that's happened. I woke up.
Remember the brothel we stayed in Portland?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that place was so creepy. I think about that a lot. And then
it was not a brothel now. It was a bar, like just the FYI. It's an old brothel.
It's a bar hotel, and it's obviously it's an attraction. McMilligan's, I believe. Anyway, so so that happened. And then there was one thing else. I woke up to my guitar pretty much like being played. Like my strings were strung, like I was dreaming it. And then I woke up to like my guitar. Like, I don't know if it was maybe my cat or brushed against it, but I felt like it was really way too powerful for it to actually be my cat or something hitting it. But yeah, so that's my experience at that house.
Didn't something happen with your boyfriend when he was there once too, Derek?
Yeah. But that was, I don't know if it was coincidence. I was thinking about that. He was sleeping downstairs on the futon. We had this little TV in the corner, and he was like, hey, I'm really creeped out. I keep hearing noises. And I'm like, okay, I'll come down. So we come down, we like flip through the channel, and there's
snuck down. She wasn't allowed to be down there, FYI. I'm not there.
Whatever. So we were flipping through the channels because we were both really creeped out at this point. And it was an orchestra, and it was like a satanic orchestra that was playing, but it was just weird, like the coincidence of us going on that, because like we were like, oh, this is really nice, this is calming. And it was like, yeah, so Satan, blah, blah, blah. And we were both like, what? And we changed it. But he said he was hearing footsteps, but no one was awake. And he was hearing doors open and close. And that's why he had called me down, because he was like actually really scared. So
now,
that house was really creepy.
Yeah, this house is pretty damn creepy too. Thank you, April. But,
oh, no. You found it. You pushed for it, so no.
Yes, I did have a hand in that. Now, I want to talk about what you have had levels of awakening that we've talked about. I've had levels of awakening. Do you find that your abilities have changed or gotten stronger throughout those levels?
Yes. Let me explain. So when we are part of a culture or society, we tend to buy into whatever narrative that said society believes in, right? Whether it's communist China, America, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever your, religious, Hindu, doesn't matter, right? It's where you grow up is kind of how your beliefs are formed, and that's kind of how you're programmed. And for a very long time, I had a lot of guilt and a lot of like human stuff kind of loaded on me, because I was never like a soccer mom or the PTA mom. I was a good mom, I think, but never like your traditional, like, let's say, mom. And I always like wanted to be like, she's laughing, like your picture perfect mom, but it just wasn't in my DNA, my makeup or whatever. Stop it. You're making me laugh. So the kids moved around a lot. They had a lot of experiences. They got to meet famous people. They got to do really cool stuff. They went on vacations, not for lack of a abnormal and spectacularly different childhood, right, Kristina?
Right. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for a thing.
Okay, thank you. So I didn't even pay her to say that. Anyway, so as I got older, and I'm going to say probably 2015, April 1st, and you know what that date is, Kristina. That was kind of I always had the gift and could use it, but I kind of battled myself because, I grew up with a very strict Christian mother. She left when I was 8, but then even today, despite all the experiences I've had and all of the validation I've had about my gift, I still will question my gift or things that are happening that I can't see, feel, hear, or touch, because I was brought up so strictly to believe that this was evil, bad, of the devil, right? So I still fight that, like that thought process, that paradigm in my head. I'm always fighting that. But I'm going to say something. I'm going to swear here. I give a fucks are gone. So about 48, 50, when they all left, I was like, it's on. And ever since then, I've been like a radar, like just receiving information. So I'd say in the last 6 years really has really amped up in my gifts.
Now, you mentioned something that's really kind of, I think, held back a lot of people with intuitive abilities, is the stigma that this is evil, especially like when you were talking about you were channeling this Arabic lady that, people who are indoctrinated will immediately go to, that's a demon coming through or something like that. But if you look at the results, if you look at what happened for this young lady, if you look at everything beautiful that happened after that, how could that have been anything negative? And, these are, like you said, I believe, are gifts. It's just everybody has access to them if you choose to kind of embrace those gifts or not, right?
I mean, yeah, I agree. My whole thing is I believe everything in the world is, every person that does everything is all about intention. So if you go into something now, obviously I love my daughter and I cared about the young girl that was becoming her friend at the time. I didn't really know her that well, but now I love her like a daughter. But back then it was, I was getting to know her. But my intention was caring and concern for my daughter. So when the grandmother came through, I believe somewhere deep down in my soul, I let her come, I agreed for her to come through, because I think I intuitively knew that the girl needed to hear the message because she was lost. I think you can't argue with those results, because I'm sorry?
Not to interject, but she went to the doctor and she found out she had some serious kind of health issues. And she was, we were partying, drinking. And if she would have gone down that path, that doctor said she would have died. So
I didn't even know that till just now. I honestly didn't know that. So I guess here's my thing. I think that the stigma of having this gift, and everybody has intuitive. If you've known who's calling you before you answer the phone, that's intuitive. If you think about somebody that you haven't talked to in 10, 15, 20 years, and the phone rings and it's them, that's being intuitive. It's not that it's just a gift that I have or 1% of the population has. Everybody has it. It's acknowledging it, it's accepting it, it's nurturing it, and it's growing it. And again, everything in life is about intention. If you have a good intention set behind something and you go for that, for whatever that thing is, whether you're reading somebody, you're working a job, you have a child with behavioral issues, whatever that is, I believe that core idea that's driving you forward with that intention is what you are looking for your outcome, because you are manifesting that outcome by the intention that you set behind that situation, right? So you're manifesting that positive reaction or situation or information for whatever, whether it's for yourself or for other people. And that's that's how I've never charged anybody for a reading. I think maybe one time I traded somebody something, but that's it. Like I've always read people for free because I believe it is a gift and I should share it. And I've always worked, either own my own businesses or I've worked for other people. So I've never really needed the money per se. And I've never tried to earn a living doing this full time. Not to say I'm opposed to doing it, but I always felt weird about taking money from somebody while I'm helping them. And I know that sounds stupid because doctors and nurses do it every day for their livelihood, but I just felt like I was supposed to do this for this person to help them. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if that answers your question.
I think in ancient times, we all had these extraordinary abilities, extraordinary psychic abilities. I think all our ancestors had these great psychic and conscious abilities that we are just kind of tapping into barely today. And I think a lot of us have been held back because of the stigma of, organized religion and things of that nature that keep people behind from exploring these abilities. But you're absolutely right. I think we all have this level that we can tap into, and that it's it's a natural thing for us. It's all.
Well, let's not forget, Chris, too, environmental. Look at our diets. Look at our pineal gland.
Right.
I mean, that's your ticket into accessing this part of your abilities, whether it's intuitive, and I'm sorry when people say, oh, people don't ever change. Well, that's insanity, because every single day you change, every single day you age, every single day new situations and new people and new experiences happen in your life, and your reaction and or your participation in those events absolutely positively change you, whether it's what you perceive for the better or for the worse. They change you, and people are way capable of change, because I've done it through a lot of cognitive therapy, a lot of meditation, and a lot of connecting to who I am, who I'm supposed to be in this iteration where I'm on earth right now. So yeah, but that dogma, man, that'll beat you up.
I think it's fear too. I think it's scary 100%. To know, like, oh, it's not just people in the flesh, it's not just here and now. It's like there's way more to life, and I think that scares people into.
And I agree with you, Kristina. And here's the other thing too. It's like, and I'm not shitting on anyone's belief systems here, so I'm gonna say this, but when somebody has an Abrahamic belief system, I don't care which one it is, and they say to me, oh, you believe in UFOs, or you believe in Bigfoot, or you believe in spirits, or you believe in, and they laugh at me, and I say, look, go ahead. That's okay. Laugh at me, whatever I believe in. But you believe in a deity that you've never sat down and had a conversation with, that you read a book that's over 2,000 years old, that's written by men and, scrutinized by men. And certain books were omitted from this book. But you have the faith that the creator, which, by the way, I do believe in God, because you can hold a belief in a higher being and still be gifted psychically. So I completely believe in that there's a God.
Also, too, I mean, if you're referring to the Bible is very supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that if you don't believe in the supernatural, how do you believe in God?
Yeah, it's all one and the same, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And words are and I want to say this because people say, like, oh, they're just words. You know what? No, they're not. Words are magic. Words are power. I could say to you, Kristina, you're the most beautiful, daughter I've ever had. And I love you so much. And I have such a good time with you. And, that's going to build you up. Or I could turn around and say, Kristina, I don't like that hairstyle on you. Those words are going to tear you down. Those words have power, because power is how something affects one person or a group or people, right? That those words affect you. Just like you ever been to church, and you go to church and you hear the sermon and you say, holy crap, that's written just for me. I needed to hear this message today. Well, those are very powerful words, because you're getting something from those words. Those words are making you feel better. They're inspiring you. They're making you feel like uplifted. Maybe you're down or whatever. That's happened to me several times. I still go to church once in a great while. I mean, I'm not opposed to religion per se. I'm just opposed to crappy people that are involved in it. That's what I'm opposed to.
There's crappy people everywhere.
I know.
it's, I mean, it's humanity.
I'm not saying all people are
good and
practicing
there's bad.
yeah, I know, honey. I'm just saying that that's my biggest thing with organized religion, but neither here nor there.
The thing is, when you meet someone who's spiritual, regardless of what it is, it's not even about religion. It's just about the relationship they have with whatever higher power they believe in. And it's who they are as a person, you know, that's, but I know what you mean, because I've seen a lot of things that have ruined, you know, like certain religions for me. But lately I've just been, you know, rediscovering a different outlook, because I have found out and I have learned for myself, it's not about that. It's about the person. It's about the relationship you have with whatever higher power
the source. Yeah. Yeah. You're connecting to the source. You're connecting to your power, your ability to relate to the source. And that's an amazing thing.
And your understanding of it as well. Now, April, you gave me a pretty profound tarot reading earlier, and I don't understand the techniques or what's behind tarot readings. When did you first start doing that, by the way?
I don't know, Kristina, what'd you say when we moved to Salem?
I feel like
before that, but that was really when I started to get into
I think you've always had gifts, but you started practicing, I wouldn't necessarily say Salem, but I would say when we moved to the East Coast, of course I was younger, but that's when I started, like, that's when I have my first memories of that and you practicing.
I would say that learning how to read tarot and doing all that, and I don't use the Thoth deck, I use the Goddess deck, but I'd say that would be about 99, 2000.
Now, what made you decide to start using tarot? Was there anything intuitively that you
was it the house
towards
that we lived in?
We lived in Salem, Massachusetts. That could have been one of the big things. I also had a sister who was a high priestess, Celeste, and she was a numerologist. She was an expert numerologist and an amateur astrologist, and she was amazing at tarot. But her numerology, like, knew it like she knew herself. Crazy talented, and actually learned a lot from her. So
now, could you tell us a little bit about what's behind the technique of tarot? What goes on whenever you're pulling these cards for people?
Well, typically, like today, I didn't really ask you a question because we were working on some other, some not issues, but other things that you were thinking about. So typically, I light a white candle. I tell the person to, take a couple deep breaths and to think about what they really want a message to convey. And if it's not to tell me the question, and it's not like a yes or no question, like, does Billy really like me? No, it's not like that. It's like, am I going in the right direction, work-wise, or is there anything, will I be moving soon? I'm thinking about moving for a job, or, things that are like more general, like not yes or no, right? And so I'll tell them to hold that in their mind and then shuffle the cards to put their energy into the cards. And then I'll tell them to cut the deck. Then usually when I cut the deck, I divide that deck into past, present, future. And then I take the past and like today I did the Celtic cross spread for you. So that first part was the past, the second part was the present, and the third part, that last row, was the future. And I'm really practicing on that one now because I haven't really done the Celtic cross spread a whole lot. But
Can I ask this real quick?
Sure.
When you have read me, you've always expressed, I invite the divine light always.
Oh yeah.
You always say a protection prayer. And I feel like you call upon people's guides. I don't think you realize it, but I feel like that has a lot to do with it. I think you call upon the guides.
It's funny because my guides have been talking to his guides. So it's
really
kind of funny. Yeah. But so I asked him to ask a question. Of course I light the light candle. I do like the quiet like meditation in my head to my guides and to protect us and envelop us with white light and love. And then I go, I didn't even say that because
White
it's
light and love. Always.
it's such an assumption that when I do that, I didn't even articulate that. But yes, I do that. And then
I feel like it's important.
it is important. And then I basically, so let's say somebody asks in their mind, they don't tell me. I said, don't ever tell me and don't give me any information when I'm reading you. If I ask a question, so I can not necessarily validate what I'm saying, but make sure I'm whatever. I might do that, but don't tell me. So I get through the whole reading, and typically it'll touch a little bit, if not cover the question that they had in their mind, but it will always go right to the source of what's really eating them or really concerning them or what they really want to know, but they don't want to ask. As case in point, you today. So you didn't say anything to me about anything. I just did the reading and I thought it was going to go one way. And then we got into it. And I'm like, so that's the root of the issue here. And then we figured that out. Right. So that's kind of that's how that goes. Like the cards and the guides bring out what needs to be known to the person, to the querent I'm reading, because that's really truly what they're concerned or they're worried about and what they need to work on. And so it's, it is a gift. I mean, I love helping.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's okay. Don't be.
It's also you though, you being able to see that and tap into that, it's the cards and it's you. I think, who holds the cards also plays a significant role, because anyone can get a tarot deck and say, oh, this means this, but you actually thoroughly, I think, read people because of your gift.
Well, he drew the fertility card today, which is all about pregnancy and birth and new birth and stuff like that. And I know he kind of looked at me,
opportunities.
And yeah, exactly. And I said, it doesn't mean you're going to get pregnant. It means that you're pregnant with ideas. You're pregnant with knowledge, opportunity and knowledge and things like that. So kind of that's like, so you got to be able to discern, the cards that come through. But the other thing my daughter was just saying, I don't really even need the cards now, but I will use for a while, but I will use them because I see that when I do use them, people are almost more comfortable with the reading because it's a physical, tangible point of like physical. See, this is the Two of Pentacles, or the Three of Cups, which means happy home life, so when they see that and then I'm reading them, I said, oh yeah, well, blah, 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 blah. Then they can say, oh yeah, it's right there. I see it's the Three of Cups. This is, this is what's coming. Right. So this is, that's how that works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. Can you give a reading to yourself? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't tend to listen to myself all the time. I strongly want to do what I want to do, but I do. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
she's laughing.
For the last few minutes, let's talk about the upcoming podcast, The Ancient Gift. What plans for The Ancient Gift? Give us a little preview, some snippets.
Boy, he's sneaky, isn't he? He didn't make any bones to me about asking me about The Ancient Gift.
Yes.
The Ancient Gift is going, I'm very, very excited. I'm getting more excited now because it's coming upon it. I'm contemplating what topic to cover first, but I've asked my daughter to co-host, if not full-time, at least once a month with me, if she would like to. And basically it's unpacking, name a topic, either one of you. Just give me something paranormal or, societal wise, culturally wise, that you're
Bigfoot.
Great. Perfect.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So what I would do on The Ancient Gift is take the topic of Bigfoot, and then I would take somebody who has seen one in the wild, okay, and then somebody who doesn't believe in it, like a scientist, and then like a cryptozoologist, somebody who, deals with that for a living, and then I would get like an archaeologist and maybe a Native American tribe or two, two people from those respective clans to come on. And then we will talk about, so what was your experience with Bigfoot, Mr. Jones? And Mr. Jones will say, well, I was out hunting and da, da. And then the one who doesn't believe will say, well, maybe it was a wolf or maybe it was this or that. And then the cryptozoologist could go and say, well, what did you see? Well, I saw a tuft of fur, I saw a big footprint, or I heard these like weird calls at night, whatever that is. And then the Native Americans will go in and, and they will tell their stories of their legends that they grew up with, what their tribe believes, right? And then I'd go to an archaeologist and say, hey, have you ever found anything in any digs around the world? Have you, so it's like taking that subject and almost like a round table. You go around the table, okay, and you talk to all these experts and laymen about the subject, and you unpack it.
Yeah, that's something you don't get. You don't get that anywhere anymore. You don't get an open discussion on these topics. You'll have
a multidisciplinary approach. Absolutely, that's what I'm looking.
I love that. Yeah, so important. It's so important, especially for my generation. The different perspectives, being able to talk to each other.
And that's nice too, because there's older people and younger people that have experiences in whatever it could be. It could be, spirits. It could be Bigfoot. It could be UFOs. It could be suicide, right? Experiences with suicide. I personally have experiences. My daughter knows people who've lost people to it. Unpacking that, from an archaeological aspect or a medicinal aspect, so it's like just taking that and like literally going around and telling your experiences and having people who have the education in that subject as well as people who have experienced that.
That's going to be great. Really looking forward to that. And you're hoping to maybe release that at the beginning of the year or February?
I'm thinking February, since somebody made me move to Colorado and I'm still unpacking about 1,000 boxes. So
yeah. Well, might be pushed back a little. Well, Kristina, is there anything that you'd like to add before we sign off today? Any other experiences that you've had or that you've seen from your very interesting mother here?
I mean, I've definitely had my own experiences. However, I will save them for, the podcast in the future, because I could go on and on. There was one experience I was staying at a battered woman shelter, which I would love to go into further. And I had seen a ghost, and it's a whole nother story. So I will go into that, but it was pretty amazing. So maybe next podcast.
Look at her. She's good. She's already given teasers for the podcast. Look at that.
My girl. Well, I just want to say too, real quick. So remember, Kristina, do you remember the house in Danbury?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember Bella's like waking up in the middle of the night and Bella's playing with somebody in her crib and the toys are going off and stuff.
Or the Salem house with Bella's almost like
the sea captain.
Out the window.
Oh my God, yeah.
Now what happened there?
Oh yeah.
What happened here?
Awful. I remember being a kid and just like being so scared to fall asleep because I knew something weird was going to happen.
We didn't go into a section of that house. We closed it off. It was so bad.
You literally made a cross for Erica's
I saw this guy walk.
This is why I believe in God and Jesus, because I have seen so much. Just being your daughter and just having the gift. I know I probably sound crazy, but like, whew.
Well, yeah, I'm hopefully we won't wake up at 3:33 a.m. this morning with some rapping on the end of our bed or footsteps right above us. But you never know. Doors have been opening. Strange things have been occurring. Your dogs have been shaking. They seem a little nervous at times.
Charlotte, yeah.
So it's very interesting. And your friend said that what did your other psychic friend say that
Chris asked me if I had ever had a miscarriage, and I said, "Well, it's a really odd." My girlfriend Christine back in Galveston.
Yeah. Okay.
Christine, yeah, and I said, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a strange question, right? And she's like, "Well, I feel like you have to sage your cabinets because there's a woman in the house that's had 7 miscarriages, and she's very attracted to you because she knows you have children and grandchildren, and she knows that you've lost, a baby before." Mm-hmm. And her husband was very mean to her, and her sister ended up having 7 children for him. This is what she said to me last night before we went to bed.
And what about the creepy burn mark in the little cabinet
I don't know,
that
but
you
it's
bought?
the weird. We just bought a cabinet for a spice rack. It's this really cool old green thing. And Chris was sick for 2 days. I had a stomach flu for 2 days. He had a stomach bug for 2 days. And last night I opened it to get the spices out, and there's a big burn mark, like this big on the top of the cabinet inside. The sides of the door isn't burnt. It's just the inside. It's round, and it was like you could tell a kid had written crayon lick in it. And when he was telling me, I go, "Hey, babe, can you look at this?" I'm like, "Do you remember this? This wasn't on here." Because the day before, I was looking at all the artwork some little kid drew inside this cabinet. The burn mark wasn't there. It's an electric stove, so there's no open flame. What?
Get rid of it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't know. That little cabinet creeps me out every time I open it up. It's got creepy crayon writing from little kids. It looks like he's writing like some kind of creepy spells on there or something.
Absolutely. Get rid of that. Why would you want
Some
that
little
in your
satanic
house?
kids had it before or something.
Yeah. So one thing that I have been told is that there is no such thing as children ghosts. Those are like demons or, negative energies portraying themselves as that. And I believe in that. If you think about it, really, I don't know.
Believe that. I think, again, now we're talking, when we say ghost, spirit, whatever you want to call it, we're not talking, it's energy. Everything, this table, this jacket, me, you, everything is made out of energy. So when a physical form, a body dies, the energy just goes someplace else, another dimension. And by the way, Chris, that's what I think we have in our hallway is a porthole. It's like a dimensional hallway between realms, and they come out of one realm, they walk through, and they go into another realm. And I swear to you,
and they bang their arm on the bed or something on the way. I don't know. They're hitting something.
It's crazy. I mean, crazy. We will hear footsteps and stuff. It's insane. But that's what I believe that we have is it's a dimensional hallway in our upstairs.
All right. Well,
That
I'll
makes
be
sense.
looking forward to our dimensional hallway later.
Yeah. Okay. Sure you will. We don't even go upstairs, honestly.
Yeah, well, it's probably a reason for that. Well, April, Kristina, that was excellent. That was fantastic information. I'm very much looking forward to the Ancient Gift next year. That's going to have some fantastic information as well, some great guests. And I think that's what we really need is this discussion about all these topics that are never talked about in the mainstream. So thank you again, Kristina, for coming on. You did great.
Thank you for having me.
And by the way, my daughter's a fairy whisperer, whether she
fairy
realizes
whisperer.
it or not. I say this all the time.
Now,
She's
before you go,
she's-
you got to tell us what this is, a fairy whisperer. Tell us what this fairy whisperer is.
Go ahead.
Me? No,
Yeah.
Mom. You
Yeah.
have to, since you're granting me this label.
She has always loved fairies, always. And since she was a little girl. And she's just always had a connection. And I swear to you, she's like me. We could fall off a building and land in a pile of pillows and come out of it okay. And I really believe that it's her connection to other beings that she doesn't even quite understand yet that help her get through a lot of her turmoil, inner and outer. But I think
I have some stories.
But yeah,
I'll
but
share
very
them
much.
next time.
She's always been my nature girl. She's always the one bringing home the sick kitten in the neighborhood, or the squirrel, or God knows, I can't even remember how many animals she brought home. But she's always been like out in the woods, nature, and I really believe that she is connected to fairies. I believe that's, Kristina. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's very cool. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all again. Looking forward to the Ancient Gift, and we'll definitely be talking again soon. Until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening.
Thank you, Chris.